drown. Please don't let me drown. Whoa. Give me all of your lies, 'cause you're my demon in disguise. I learned to love the cage you keep me in, but the walls keep closing in. And I don't wanna die, but your poison feels so right. Why do I want you when you're bad for me? My perfect storm, my beautiful catastrophe. My perfect storm, my beautiful catastrophe. You need me like you need air to breathe. You want me to save you from me. I know that you're trapped inside this wave. Who's gonna save you? Who's gonna save you from me? I can't see you drown. 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 Whoa. Give me all of your lies, 'cause you're my demon in disguise. I learned to love the cage you keep me in, but the walls keep closing in. And I don't wanna die, but your poison feels so right. Why do I want you when you're bad for me? My perfect storm, my beautiful catastrophe. My perfect storm, my beautiful catastrophe. It's a toxic addiction. You're a guilty affliction. Yeah. I can't breathe. I need to get some air, but it's a toxic addiction. You're a guilty affliction. Yeah. You can't breathe and you just need some air. Yeah. Give me all of your lies, 'cause you're my demon in disguise. I learned to love the cage you keep me in, but the walls keep closing in. And I don't wanna die, but your poison feels so right. Why do I want you when you're bad for me? My perfect storm, my beautiful catastrophe. My perfect storm, my beautiful catastrophe. My perfect storm, my beautiful catastrophe.
Welcome back to Xenon Gaming Series. This is week number 5. We are on the first game of the week, and we are going to be seeing Superlight, who are 100% undefeated for their regular season, take on Paradox Black, which unfortunately have not seen a single win in this regulation side of things. But I am joined by Mist. How do you feel about what we're about to watch tonight?
Thanks. It's great to be here. I feel like this game is gonna go either one of two ways, and it's either gonna be Superlight kind of trying to keep all their cards in their pocket here, trying to keep things hidden for playoffs, and we're gonna see Paradox step it up and put on a good game because although they are limited, they still earned their spot in this league, and they have shown some potential, and I'd love to see that come out against a team like Superlight. Or there's a really good chance as well we just see just a complete flattening come out from the number one seed. They've been undefeated and it's been very clean from them just throughout the entire tournament. I'm looking at the stats right now. Every player on the side of Superlight is above a 1.0 weighting, with the highest rated one, Kiru, at 1.8 with +5 on entry right now. That's a very scary stat to be going up against if you're Paradox, but I mean, they showed some signs of life yesterday in that 15 game slugfest on Oregon, so they do still have some momentum coming into this game, and I think they can put up at least a couple of rounds here.
I know, at least with Superlight, the cool thing about us is we actually get to see a lot of the things that happen behind the scenes. And Superlight is a team that everybody fears. I will stand by it. I have dubbed them the villains of this season. And villains by I can't even begin to tell you how many times they've been moss checked because they just are that good of a team.
Yeah, I wish we had like a Moss check rating that we could go off of because they definitely be scoring very high in that. I do believe we're about ready to have those map bans come up, so we get to know where we're going to be going here soon. Oh, we do. We get them right now. Wow, we're going to Oregon again. This is my
Aw.
third Oregon map in a row. So yeah, this will be fun. Honestly, I'm not too surprised to see this. Obviously, Paradox is comfortable on here. They were willing to go here yesterday. They went all the way to 15 rounds. They won 7 of their own on this. And if you decide of Superlight, right, it's a super common map. You don't feel bad about showing Oregon right before you go into playoffs. There's not too many unique strategies you're going to be able to pull off. The only thing I can think of recently was when Project Madness was doing walk-in extensions. But like other than that, there's not a whole lot that you can do on this map that's really like stylistically uniquely yours. So you don't feel too bad about showing it.
Yeah, and I mean, just a hint on the whole Paradox Black thing. Why stop the momentum? If you almost went the distance the day before and you know the things that you're doing are working, it makes sense to kind of keep that in succession with your following match afterwards. So that's a very smart strategy, almost right out of the gate. But one of the things that Paradox is going to have to worry about is the fact that Superlight does not play what I like to call comfort maps very comfortable. We did see earlier in this season that, Superlight actually took Clubhouse and played it in a completely different way with extensions and almost site fake outs that completely pummeled Homeland Academy and just confused them and just broke them down. So I'm excited to see if maybe we don't see a Borrigan tonight. I mean, we're gonna see some interesting stuff, but Oregon's usually Borrigan for a reason.
Yeah, if there's a map to not go Borrigan, though, it would be this one. Nothing's on the line here for either team, and as we're getting into the game, hopefully we get to see some of those less loved operators make their debut. We've seen Nock get picked a little bit more, but if we're ever going to see operators like Amaru, like Oryx, it's most likely going to be this map, and if there's a team that is going to be able to make them work in any capacity, you gotta feel like it's going to be Superlight as well. They've been just pulling off wacky stuff all season and making it look incredibly viable, and so maybe they have the ability to come onto this map here and show us that they have more like that in the pocket. Obviously, Superlight starting on defense here, as you can see in the top of your screen. So they're going to have the first man coming through just now. It's going to be Maverick, so it's not that traditional Thatcher. I know yesterday we saw a ton of Thatcher and Flores being banned on this map. I like the change onto Maverick, an incredibly powerful operator on this map. I mean, if you think about how you generically attack upstairs, everyone, like the first operator, they will say is a Maverick. So removing him from the table really limits what the attackers can do. And the second attacker ban coming through, it is going to be Flores. So very notably, Thatcher's left on the table.
Yes, and Thatcher, generally when Thatcher is unbanned, we do see him generally come out in play. The only problem is if you're not using that Thatcher to his full potential, that's where things get a little bit hairy. Now, on the side of defense, usually what we see here is, especially with Superlight, they do like to mix things up a little bit. But the Valkyrie is a very obvious pick here because you don't want your, I don't want to say defending your opponents to actually use that intel to their advantage, and those black eye cameras can be hidden almost anywhere. I'm kind of hoping we're gonna see a Frost situation here, just because of the fact that if you've seen Superlight play Frost, kind
Ooh.
of nasty. But that Jaeger, very smart, denying a bunch of utility grenades, flashes, stuff like that. I have a feeling we're gonna see quite a few rushes tonight.
Yeah, I also think that kind of complements the fact that Ying was not banned here as well, and the only nades that were removed was that Maverick, and Flores is gone as well. So if you want to break shields, removing one of those throwable denial you operators, the Aruni Wamai Jaeger, of course, Wamai being the most commonly banned out of that set. But yeah, it makes a little bit of sense. It makes your attacks a little bit easier to do, and especially if you're a team that's comfortable playing without Jaeger, it's like what Axet said a couple of weeks ago. They got the smoke banned against them once, and then they practiced a week straight of just always banning smoke so that they were comfortable on it, because it is an advantage if you're able to play sites without those very commonly used operators. And speaking of uncommon operators, well, just an overall pick rate, it's got to be Azami because she's brand new, but she's making a debut up here. Not in terms of places that you can put Azami charges. This is not the most common site that you bring her on. Obviously, a lot of the things that you can base those off of are in games and in bunks, and those are just directly associated with the site themselves, so you don't get too much extension pressure with them. But floofs in the side of Superlight, there's one team that's going to convince me that you can put these Azami barricades in some interesting places. It's going to be this team as they start their defense.
I mean, honestly, you don't even really need interesting places. You can use that double window, because a lot of teams love to attack that double window on kids. Or no, on bunks. And by being able to have that Kiba barrier available just to throw onto it and create an additional destructible surface that has to be... You have to use utility to get out. That's utility drain. So there's a lot of potential here with that. But I have to give Paradox a little bit of credit here. They are bringing a very typical lineup, but oh my goodness! Suka from Paradox just decides that Cohen is immediately going to come off that board. That's a heavy hit for Paradox. Or no, for Superlight. Excuse me.
Yeah, that's a very great opening here for Paradox too. The tempo definitely in their favor. They're going for a very common take here too. This master heavy push. We saw them debut this a lot yesterday, and they themselves were not doing a lot of attic presence. You see Wumbo really the only player for Paradox on that side of the map, and these four players that are stacked outside of Armory and the master bedroom area are definitely getting their values worth here. Look at the health bars on the side of Superlight as well. They're not all kills yet, but it's a ton of damage done, plus the extra gun up, and this Azami gets caught as well through the wall. I believe that's Nev earning the down for themselves there. So it's just an incredible opening first minute or so here for the side of Paradox, as now as attack rival has to step back as well, and he gets caught off guard by Sipa Sam as well, and they've also opened this rotate here as well, so the Heart Breacher not having a ton of work to do. Capsule grabs one back for his team, but Floofs is most certainly dead on arrival here, as they're not going to be able to pick him up.
Well, remember, when a player goes down, it doesn't always mean that they're out. You still have that player having the ability to pay attention and to almost be like kind of a static cam. But with that being said, Cal's going to take down Floofs. So now we're officially in a 4v2 situation. Things are not looking good for Superlight. This is not the Superlight that we've seen so far this season. They rarely take any losses. I think the most we've actually seen Superlight take in a loss was, I think, 3 round. So if Paradox can break that, that will be insane. Wumbo takes down Kiro, so now 4v1. Not undoable, but very hard to do. Capsule is on one sliver of an HP as we watch him attempt to take out Suka, but Suka unfortunately just had the better angle and was able to get the first round in the favor of Paradox.
And what a statement round at that, too. They had a 4v1 at the end. That's not a very common scoreline and man advantage to get on a team like Superlight, and especially from a team that was really struggling on this site yesterday. And honestly, I'm really proud of the Paradox boys just to see the absolute difference in strategic capability that they brought out in just an under 24-hour turnaround. Yesterday, we saw them attacking Master entirely through Trophy. Now they're getting extra angles of pressure. They're contesting these players in Armory, and they're getting attic pressure, which is something they weren't doing yesterday. and it just really goes to show that these Paradox plays have what it takes to make these between-game adaptations, and it's one of the reasons that they really qualified for this league overall, is that they were able to grow as the tournament went on. So maybe the team that would have done better if we had extra rounds here in regulation, but alas, that's not how we formatted the league here. You got a one singular round robin to play with, and they didn't get off to a great start for themselves here, but they got themselves off to a great start in this game. They're up one round, and is a site repeat coming out from Superlight, and it looks like it's the exact same operators as well, so they're not changing anything on that front, which is a little bit concerning, I think, if you're the side of Superlight, because it didn't go well for you at all from the rip, just losing 3 people pretty much uncontested in this master space.
I don't think Superlight's gonna let that slow them down. One of the big things, especially with this squad, is the fact that they may fall, but they have the ability to pick it back up and just run away with it. And I have a feeling that's what we're gonna see here. We're gonna see Paradox obviously go through, kind of start setting up, doing their normal thing. They know what they did last time worked. But at the same time, Superlight knows that they don't need to take that man disadvantage right out the gate. As we can see, Nev already taking damage. Like, it's essentially, in a way, kind of like almost changing itself, you know, from what we saw in the beginning to something totally different. Paradox is taking the heat, but Superlight hasn't yet.
Yeah, Superlight definitely playing a lot more conservatively, just playing around the angles they've opened, and Floofs is able to abuse those angles into getting the opening kill for his team. That's the Finkagon as well. He gets 2 for his trouble as he picks off the player on Armory Repel as well. So now these players outside of Attic, well, there's 2 of them here, and it's just Nev left alone with the diffuser on this master balcony. He's getting swung out on with a shotgun here, and Capsule will grab that. So now it's just this Attic pressure here for Paradox with a minute gone on the clock. So they've got 2 minutes to work with if they want to try and make something work for themselves, but Floofs is going to extend the advantage that he's gained in this round, and he's gonna grab a 4K for himself. A flawless round after a 4-to-1 player deficit defeat. Name a more Superlight tactic than trying the same thing and making it look so dominant the second time around.
Well, you know, they do say first round's always the worst round. It doesn't matter what team you are, your first round is where you'll learn everything. But tried and true, we're going to see the second most popular site pop up on the board here as we move into round 3. We're going all the way downstairs. Laundry room, supply room. This is generally where we see operators like Ying come out. And since Ying is not banned, there's a good potential to see her possibly, you know, be picked during that operator repick phase. But we are seeing quite the normal, you know, kind of starting lineup from the defensive side. The Alibi, obviously great, you know, weapon setup, but at the same time, she has an amazing ability with the Prisma to fake people out and kind of give some additional information.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit underutilized too. A lot of people will throw Prismas in spots to try and fade out kills, which does work if you put them in the right spot, but you can actually use them like proxy frost mats. If you throw them directly under a window, they have to be cleared so you know if there's people in that window or have come through it. So you can kind of use it like a proximity alarm as well. So there's definitely some good utility there, assuming that Superlight can go that route, or they could just throw them and try to bait people into shooting them as the execute starts coming out. And with a site like Basement that's so execute heavy, there is a good chance that they get value out of that, as they are going for this roam setup as well. So Superlight is really trying to run down the clock here on this roam. Look at how much utility they're investing into this mid floor. Hatches being open, rotates being open as well. So the pressure is really going to be on Paradox to try and make that work, or to see if Paradox is going to be able to circumvent that by just trying to hit bunker and tower, which has traditionally been a very meh answer to this kind of style of hold that Superlight's going for, especially when Floops is getting aggressive on you on this bunker extension here. And we get to see that operator that we talked about not being banned. Thatcher finally makes his appearance here as well, so it's going to be cool to see how Paradox is able to utilize that EMP grenade to their advantage.
Yes, and with that mute on the board, it definitely will help that as well, because you can take out, you know, different utilities, like any type of electronic utility you can take out and make null and void. But first kill comes out the fork. Rival's essentially going to put Soka in a very early grave, and it looks like Wok is wanting to come back and try to like even up the score, but Kiru with a double kill. We are officially 5v2, and we haven't even had a full minute yet.
Yeah, the aggression from Superlight just working out incredibly well, as well as this roam clear from Paradox. Kind of been a little discoordinated. I didn't know there was someone upstairs, and it doesn't really matter when Rival is swinging you like that. But when the player's upstairs able to walk down and kill 2 after he gets the first one, you know where he is. It's a little bit concerning here. The players from Superlight definitely feeling themselves now all side of the basement. It's a nice double kill from Nev. It's now possible, but he can't win the gunfight on Kiru. A very clown fiesta way to end the round. But hey, Superlight making the pain feel felt, excuse me, outside of the building.
Not gonna lie, Nev didn't come to play. We just watched the best attempt at turning that around, and if that had turned around, I would have been absolutely embarrassed if I was Superlight. That's a moment of humility right there, if that had been in the favor of Nev. But we're changing things up. We're actually going to be moving to meeting hall and kitchen this time. They're going to obviously try to do something a little different, attempt to, kind of throw off their game, because at this point, it's pretty obvious that they like to repeat sites. But by mixing it up, you kind of have to change up that IGL's brain, and they have to really think on the fly, because you can't go back and obviously repeat what you just did prior. So it's all about that siege mental game. We'll have to see what Paradox is going to be thinking as far as this attack goes.
Yeah, I mean, from the operators here, of course, they can still switch off of them using that attack or repick, but they are showing the OSA, an operator that's been gaining a little bit of popularity on attacking this site in particular, just being able to use those OSA shields within the attic space to clear attic without walking up it or clearing upstairs. It's a very unique concept that really you can't apply on most sites here, or in the game, excuse me, but it works incredibly well if your team is coordinated enough to hold all the angles you need and really just brute force your way into the stage space. And we saw Paradox go for this yesterday as well. I believe they went 50-50 on it. I'm not entirely remembering that game in its full, but yeah, it has potential for this attack to be incredibly powerful and allow you to clear space without taking too many gunfights here, but a lot of it comes down to team coordination, utility, and growth.
Did they leave stage soft? No, they didn't. Okay, I was about to freak out there because I was like, oh my god, there's no way you did that. But, Superlight, you can't really underestimate them. They essentially do what they want. But one of the really interesting things is the fact that since we don't have that thermite, that stage wall is going to be almost impossible to take down unless you're properly coordinating things. And it looks like Superlight just knows exactly the way things are about to go down. They have one player near the stage ready to take on that green hallway, but they also have a player upstairs that is watching the hatch. They just have the feeling of what's going on. Yes, they are.
Oh, he gets the kill though. Capsule grabs another one. He grabs two for his trouble, so the thermite's down without opening up that stage wall. So the stage wall will be remaining shut. Capsule grabs a third on this angle, almost grabs the fourth. Zulk is able to shut him down, but the nitrous cell from Koyin picks up one. That's a very nice shot from Sulkaboy. He almost grabs a second for his trouble too, but the vaulting from attack from Rival is just a little bit too strong. The boys from Superlight definitely making a little bit of a statement out of this game now.
See, and here's the really sad part is the fact that that was not the final kill of the game. The final kill of the game was actually on the side of Paradox. They did take down an additional member from Superlight, but being the last person on the board, it doesn't matter. If that bullet hits the right spot, you're just out. So back all the way upstairs, kids' dorms, dorm main hall. We've been here twice. We've had one success, one failure for Paradox. Are they going to be able to kind of bring this back? I'd like to see it. We were kind of expecting this to be a little bit more of a blowout, but I don't know. I kind of want to see the back and forth. I want to see what Paradox got.
Yeah, and I think it's important to note too that Paradox doesn't need to win this game to show us what they got. That first round was very clean from them, and that's like the potential, right? That's the bar they could be at if they're able to repeat that every time. And if we can just see more of that style of play out of them, I think it's definitely a good look for these players as they go forward throughout their career, because it's always good, of course, to look at things that went wrong and you can kind of like break it apart and try and fix it for the future. But it's also good to see you actually start having those successes and your work has finally started to pay off. And if you can get more of that, I definitely think the Paradox boys can walk away from this map. Maybe not happy, of course, you always want to be able to go to playoffs, but they can at least have something to look at and say, yeah, we did that, that was us, and they're gonna have to make it work here on the site that they did win in round number 1 way back when, but now these players on Superlight, they've definitely been heated up just a little bit more. We put them in the microwave for an extra minute so that they start taking these gun duels, and well, how do you play into that once they're going to be swinging you on all these angles is now the question.
I have to say, I do kind of like what I'm seeing from Paradox right now. We're actually seeing them kind of divide and conquer and take as much space as they can. That's not something you actually see a lot from teams. Usually teams kind of like pair up, everybody will drone in for each other, the kind of typical siege that we normally see. But I have to point something out. I obviously have to get clarification just to make sure that I'm correct. But I think Superlight isn't running their normal lineup. I know they usually flex out between 2 different players. I can't remember. I believe Snipey Poo is one of the usual players. So Rival's actually going to be playing in tonight as their sub for Snipey Poo. So Snipey Poo is usually one of their top fraggers, which I'm not gonna lie, watching Rival's performance tonight, why the heck is this dude a sub? This man should be main roster.
At least considered playing him more if he plays more games like this. But Cal grabs a pick, for the side of Paradox, so we're off to a much better start for them here. And he grabs a second as well, just playing this T3 space incredibly well. A run out does not claim Sulka Boy as Nab trades it out from the big window. So once again, Paradox find themselves with a commanding lead here on the upstairs site, and it just gets exacerbated even further as Neb grabs another, and now it's all just on to Koichi. He went beautifully well done in the previous rounds, and he grabs another Nitro Cell here before Sulka picks him up from the window. And you gotta ask yourself, are Superlight just getting a little bit too comfortable here? So many players just walking into these already held angles from Paradox, and it's really good that Paradox is able to begin capitalizing on these plays and get themselves advantages in situations they might not supposed to be able to.
Yeah, and I'm gonna go ahead and point out the obvious elephant in the room here is that double window. We did talk about that early. With those Kiva barriers, you want to make sure that you're bringing those out and properly deploying them when it counts. That's the thing that Superlight needs to realize. I think comfort is the right word to use here. They're getting too comfortable because they are 4-0. They don't really have to do anything here. They can just play this out almost like it's ranked. It doesn't really matter. It's not going to change anything for the playoffs for them. But on Paradox has to show up and really show them, everybody, what they're made of because of their performance and not winning really anything throughout the regular season. That's where you kind of have to... You have to wonder, are they purposely doing this by kind of pulling a TSM and really pocketing a lot of their strats and just waiting for the important moments to show up? Or are they just a team that really needs to kind of take that step back and, you know, work together?
We were so close. We were 1 second away from an Amaru play actually showing up here.
We have a Glass.
The last second. Yeah, we do have the Glass plus Ying combo here, plus Jackal as well. So 6 smoke grenades being brought to really fuel the adrenaline rushing gameplay that is Sulka Boy's Glass. I don't know what kind of execute this really pans itself out for, but the fact that all these players are running towards tower stairs makes me think that we're going to see a lot of smoke canisters be thrown very quickly. Oh no, it's just going to be a rush here.
This is a rush. This is a full-blown rush. And what they're going to be doing with this Jackal is they're going to look for feet because they want to make sure that once this double door is opened, they want to make sure nobody's close. The moment they know that nobody's close, they are going to rush in. We're going to see smokes. We're going to see Ying charges. We're going to see everything just go crazy. And the problem is Superlight ready for this? They are. They are.
Capsule grabs one. He's prone on the ground. He grabs a second one. Koyun behind him grabs another one or two. Over the shoulder. A missed nade from one bolt lands at his feet, but it actually gets it down and it's finished off by his own teammate. Practically slinging back and forth there as Wumbo with the LMG. I believe he got one on that spray. This is just utter anarchy out here in the bunker space. Wumbo somehow picking up 2.5 kills as there was a team kill that came out there, and he's kind of stabilized the match here. You can see his drone having a mild aneurysm there, and his character model does as well. He doesn't know what's happening. The adrenaline pumping through his veins, as is the Spinka boost once he decides to hit the button and heal himself a little bit more.
He wants this grenade kill. He knew he was gonna get it. Wumbo just takes out Rival, and holy moly, you should have popped that Finka boost because guess what? They were holding that shield in elbow and they were ready for you. Kiru is going to take that last kill, but I told you it was gonna fall apart, and it fell apart.
This is the greatest game of Rainbow Six that I've ever gotten the pleasure of casting. I'm thoroughly enjoying just every moment of this, man. We do get the side switch coming out now, so Paradox does get a fake kind of mental reset without having to use their pause. They get some time here now to really slow things down and change how the map is played, at least in their eyes, right? When you switch sides, you get a sort of mental break that you have to change things up here. We're seeing a couple of different operators come out here as well. Some ops that Superlight wasn't really playing on the basement. I think most notably, of course, has got to be that Warden. Not an operator that you get to see too often. This is one of his more popular sites, as well as, I believe it's cafe upstairs, that bar site that he gets picked on a decent amount. But it makes a little bit of sense here. It's really good into those bunker style plays, being able to look through smokes, look through flashbangs, and very specifically on the side of Superlight, those Ying Candelas lose their value pretty significantly into a Warden. So it's a definitely good operator to be brought out here, and the side of Superlight hasn't really changed off of that Ying as well, so it's a little bit of a counter pick there.
Well, Paradox is also bringing that Kaid, so those electric claws are going to go out, and it's going to give them a little bit additional protection. But we have to remember Thatcher. So if Superlight gets the that whiff that they're going to be using those electric claws this next round, following this one, we could see a Thatcher play come out. But the big thing that we want to talk about is the fact that yes, there is a Ying on the board. Now, if Walk does not play smart, if he does not protect himself, him going down is going to be the most detrimental thing to Paradox, because that is your ability, like you said, to be able to see through the smokes and the Candelas. By losing that ability, you lose almost like a critical, ability. But the one thing that I probably am the most excited to see is the fact that we do see all of Paradox holding on to site and doing it in a very smart fashion here. They're not as spread out as we saw Superlight play. So this is going to probably take a lot more time for Superlight to actually go in and do a proper execute.
Yeah, proper execute definitely is the name of the game here for Superlight, and I think a lot of that's going to come down to this utility as well. They've only brought 4 frag grenades. Yeah, only. We're in a frag grenade meta, of course. That's like a number is just a low to me now for some reason. But yeah, they only have 4 frag grenades here, and with the clumpings that Paradox is going for, as well as the fact that Aegir is banned, they're going to need to find good value out of those, breaking 2 shields of bulletproof cam, and potentially trying to dislodge players out of their positions as well. The value that those frag grenades get is probably going to be like the direct correlation to see between whether Superlight's able to win this round or not. Obviously, there's a chance they just start dropping hatches, throwing Ying Candelas everywhere and saying that they've won the game. But those frag grenades definitely can make this job for them a lot easier, as they are going for one of the more complicated executes on the site. You're really trying to get control of the whole building here and make this pressure down all 3 staircases work very simultaneously, very in conjunction with each other to really push the defenders on every side and find a weak point here.
I actually have to say, we just saw Walk as a site player. That is probably my favorite thing, because you're using that ward properly. But as I say that, Walk is out of the count. Things are going to start going back and forth here, where 3v3 smokes are going out. They're wanting to deny that little push that they had there. Luckily, Floof still has the diffuser, so this is very possible, but Floof's taking some damage as I speak. Grenade goes out, Floof's gets Nev. It is a 3v2. We have 36 seconds here left. This is going to heat up very quickly.
Yeah, smoke canisters starting to come down as well. The last one actually being thrown as Wumbo falls as well. Sulka gets 1 for his trouble before Koyu grabs a second. This elbow play working miracles out here, grabbing 1 quickly, flicking to that player out on highway. Superlight definitely a little bit sloppy there as they started their execute, but they cleaned it up immaculately, being able to convert a 3v3, I believe, into a 3v0. Just some beautiful work once they got down into the basement there. So they're definitely continuing this momentum for themselves into their attacking half as well. And very understandably from the side of Paradox, they're switching up their bomb site here as well. They're going upstairs and they're giving some love to an operator that barely ever gets picked. That's the Rook coming out. Not an operator that we get to see too much, of course. He's gotten a little bit stronger recently, at least since the health changes, or at least his impact has become more noticeable. The fact that you get an extra 20 health is not a trivial amount of HP to have, especially when the attackers have as much damage as they do. You think the LMGs, just the frag grenade total and count in total, being able to take extra damage really increases your chances of surviving any engagements almost tenfold or double. You get a lot more room of error there, and if you're someone like Paradox here, any wiggle room that you can get is definitely good for you.
Yeah, and honestly, I think the Rook play is extremely smart, just because of the fact that, that little extra HP that you were just talking about can do that wonders. They know that Superlight is a heavily aggressive team, and that when they, use those utilities like those grenades, those flashes, whatever they need to, that they don't miss what they need to do. We've obviously seen, 1 fumble, which it still got somebody. We can't argue that. It still got a body. But the important thing here is the fact that they want to make sure that they still have additional health, and an impact grenade going out on a drone is not smart Walk. Why?
I mean, at least his teammate's able to get an opening pick. He gets a nice shot there too into the squeeze of the boss. So Sam making it work for himself just a little bit here while doing something very ridiculous here by all standards. And Paradox 30 seconds into the round has a 2-man advantage. Make that one. Rival grabs one. That sub that you mentioned earlier, really stepping up for Superlight and kind of filling in the shoes for who normally is their highlight fragger. So it's definitely a good look for the side of Superlight to have someone who is able to do that. And we get to see a different attack here come out. Not an attack we saw Paradox really look for at all. And Sam, that rook that was impacting drones in the prep phase, gets the second kill for himself in the round.
Oh no, the diffuser's down. It's still outside, and Capsule's gonna take down Wumbo, so they're slowly trying to even things up here. But is Watt gonna get this kill? He's gonna do his best to hold his ground because he doesn't want to give up any more space. He doesn't want to give up any more, any type of control whatsoever. But he is completely flanked by Cohen. It's 2v2. We have a minute 30. A lot of things can happen in a minute 30. But the big problem here is they just got the diffuser, and it's just now being put in the building.
Yeah, a minute and a half, though, at least to work with for them here, and especially with this Buck play coming out, if he's able to clear Cole, is that his name? Cole out of this space, you're going to be giving Quayin a lot more room to work with here, but he loses that initial gunfight to Nev on the white stairs, so now it's just the Buck downstairs with a minute to his name to try and make this work for his entire team. They're all resting on his shoulders right now, hoping that he's able to pull off a little bit of a miracle here as he starts making his approach. It looks like he's trying to run all the way over towards those armory stairs, just trying to hit them on an angle that's not necessarily very common, or he's actually just underneath in Z-Hall right now trying to make this Buck utility work. But this is very much so a take and a gadget style that requires teamwork to work. You can't just open everything and then hold all those holes. These defenders are able to sneak back out there if they want. But Capsule takes a minute, tries to drown out these last players. He misses one, and it's just a flurry of bullets going back and forth before Cal's able to grab him up. And Paradox gets themselves to the third round on the board, so they're now only 1 round shy of the most number of rounds won against Superlight, which was Outlast Academy. They've got 4 rounds to their name, and if Paradox grabs another round here, they will tie them for that prestigious title of being able to take 4 rounds off of Superlight.
Yeah, and here's the thing. I was able to get confirmation of this. Superlight has only lost the most rounds that they have lost in a match so far in this regular season is 4, and that was to Outlast Academy. So 1 more round, Paradox is going to tie. If they get 1 more additional round past that and move it into 5, Paradox will actually be the only team that has taken Superlight, actually gone toe-to-toe with them, appropriately. And that's gonna be really, I actually really like an underdog story. They may be at the bottom of the, the scoreboard, but they have a lot to prove, and that alone can, give that little boost of confidence that they need in order to, really say, hey, listen, we're still in this. But back downstairs, we see another a lineup coming out of Superlight here. I think it's going to be a rush. I have a feeling it's going to be another rush. I don't know. We'll have to see how this plays out.
If this is a rush, I really want to try casting it like it's an 1800s blimp race, but we'll see. It might not come to fruition. That Ying pick coming out again. Superlight definitely really leaning into this Ying for basement, so it's definitely a choice for them here. I kind of like it as well. You talked about how that Jaeger being banned by the side of Superlight. Oh no, Superlight didn't ban. They banned Jaeger. That's what it was. Excuse me. I can't speak today apparently. But yeah, that Jaeger being banned makes throwables a little better, so Ying gets a little bit of extra value there as well. So these players on Paradox definitely have to... What is... I'm sorry, I completely lost my train of thought.
You just see a player just kind of peek his way into kitchen with a shield and just straight up pulled a Monty. I kid you not, Monty's obviously an attack operator, but we just watched a defensive version of a Monty. And as we see in the all chat, Watt goes, I'm a shield player, but because of his trolling ways, he did get punished and was taken out by Capsule. That is the first player down for the round. Oh my goodness. If I was mid-sentence, I would have been thrown off as well. But Castle comes out with a 2K, gets a Wumbo, and yeah, I don't know. I don't know where we're going with this at this point.
Can we please have Sippa Sam in the potential, in like the running, excuse me, to be MVP this week, just for that play in particular? Crapsel grabs another as Nev tries walking upstairs. Kiru grabs another for his team. They're up 5v1. Is this going to be a flawless round? It is. Superlight just continues the train moving forward. They're now up 6-3. They really don't want another team to win 4 rounds against them here. Just bringing the flurry of bullets. Obviously, Sippa Sam having a good time for himself here. And maybe the boys on Superlight, they're having a good time as well.
I know my brain when I saw that, I thought it was an attacker. Like, I'm not even gonna lie. I saw the shield pop out of the doorway, and I was like, "Hold on, wait, when did we get a shield op?" But like, if I were you, straight up, my brain would have been like, "What the?" But we're going back downstairs. We're gonna try to see what Paradox can do here. I think Simpa Sam, Walk, whatever you want to call him, I think he's just done. I think he's checked out at this point, because look who he's brought. He brought the Cavi. I have not seen Caviera in comp in a very long time.
Yeah, I haven't personally seen her in a game in a little bit as well. Apparently, she got picked earlier this season, but definitely not an opportunity to get to see too often. And what a treat position that Walk is sitting in as well. He's tucked in those sandbags. The position we saw devastate pro teams on this site at SI. So maybe this is just like a litmus test. Will Superlight actually check this corner? I genuinely don't know. I know there's a lot of times that I don't check this corner, and well, I'm not anywhere near as good as Superlight is, but we get to see him blitz come out. It's going to be a rush. We finally get it. These players on the side of Superlight going to try and answer what Paradox did a couple of rounds prior, just quickly rushing this area. And they're already off, just all the way up elbow right now. Wumbo gets taken out. That's the blitz the secondary entry as Rival grabs one for himself up towards elbow on the space. Sokoboy trying to hold the rotate, but they're all the way into the closet. Kira grabs one, Nev trades one back from the laundry main area, that plant spot that you normally see. Floosh grabs one, but interrogation.
Oh no!
Walk gets an interrogation to end the game for the other team. What an incredible performance here by both teams. I don't think either team's going to be mad with this one.
I mean, honestly, I don't know about that. Like I said, I think Walk just kind of threw. At that point, he was just done. He brought out the Cavi. Kind of great idea, but the way that last play was made with that Cavi and like just calling out the rest of the players, the sad part is you're literally doing an execution, and like the person can call it out still. They can call it out, and that's the problem with that, is the fact that you literally are doing an interrogation while you have like what, 3-4 other players up.
Yeah, that's definitely not the best idea to go for it, but it's definitely entertaining to see, and it's not something that I had on my match bingo card going into this. So yeah, definitely a little bit less serious game coming out from both sides here. But yeah, it is a little disappointing to see Walk throw a couple of rounds there, because Paradox for a good amount of that game was actually putting up a decent fight. A lot of the rounds they won, at least the first two in my memory, were not necessarily won to either team really trolling. They genuinely won the round against Superlight, so that's definitely good to see.
Yeah, and I honestly, like, I was kind of semi hoping that we were gonna see that 5 rounds come out of Paradox. Because if we did, that's almost kind of like almost a punch to the gut for the other teams in this bracket, because the worst team almost took the most rounds against the best team. That's saying something. That's saying that Superlight is not impenetrable. Even the 3 rounds they got, that proves to you Superlight has weaknesses. And I think we're going to see those weaknesses exploited as soon as we move into playoffs, and that makes me so excited.
Yeah, exploitation would definitely be something very interesting to see, especially since they haven't struggled too much just in the regular season. It'd be great to see them at least encounter some difficulties once we start getting into these best of threes. These best of series is really where you got to prove yourself as a team. You can win as many best of ones as you want, but you're not going to win the league unless you can win best of threes and best of fives. We do have an interview coming not too long after this. We're going to hop quickly to a short break, and we should have an interview for you in about 5 minutes or so. So don't go too far.
Bass go,
let's go. Hey, nah, don't touch on my bottles if you ain't coming home. I seen you put the lipstick in the Prada, you moving on the floor. Nice, young, and the vibe is electric. The bank roll out my door. I feel my senses overload. Wildin' cause I broke the mold. Really in this business of investing where I win the most. Cruising when it's 2 a.m. Bodies hanging at the benches. Drive me to the nearest liquor store to celebrate again. Oh, it's all mine, mine, and good time. It's all mine, and good time.
Hold up, wait a minute, stop. I don't even need you anymore, I'm on the top. I've been on a roll, you've been on a drop. I can't give you lessons and this shit is hard rock. This ain't new to me. She just sent 140 notes to me. Dripping YSL, these bitches using me. I can't give a damn cause I've been through the rain.
I seen you put the lipstick in the Prada, you moving on the floor. Nice, young, and the vibe is electric. The bank roll out my door. I feel my senses overload. Wildin' cause I broke the mold. Really in this business of investing where I win the most. Cruising when it's 2 a.m. Bodies hanging at the benches. Drive me to the nearest liquor store to celebrate again. Oh, it's so
We're driving down the boulevard, cruising with the windows down, feeling like we run this town. Your song is on the radio, the one you always like, the one that always gets you psyched. We've been drinking all the cheap wine all night, acting stupid but it feels so right. I know that we will all be just fine, but tonight I just wanna dance it off. Ignore the world with me tonight. Wanna dance it off. Put your body next to mine.
Alrighty. Thank you so much for like taking the time to, be patient with us because we wanted to make sure that we could get somebody in from Superlight in, and we have Cohen. I have to say, once again, I am baffled by how good you guys are. Seriously, like, what do you guys eat? Like, do you guys like do some like Venom style, like Super Saiyan? I don't know. Like, what do you guys do to be so dang good?
Oh yeah, every day, we make sure to, line our mouse pads with a bit of pre-workout, just help us, get our energy flowing, and that with about, 4 cups of coffee, usually, per person can, fuel us for the game we have. They're really difficult.
Yeah, I've actually got a question because obviously we saw a lot of very new and very strategic decisions coming out from the side of Paradox there. And there's a lot of strategies that I know I personally haven't seen before. So what's it like working with your IGL there to try and work around these strats such as Cav and Harry Potter or Shield and Pocket Peeking Kitchen, something that's not very common here. So to walk me through the process of working through those.
Well, I mean, usually that most of that falls on me. Usually I have to VOD review teams, but I mean, it's Paradox Black. I didn't really have to do much of that. But usually I'll VOD review and like have to think about teams that I have to play against, but not really today.
So I actually kind of echo back on that question. Whenever the Cav came out, I want to know what was said in comms. Like, I gotta know, like, what did you guys say when you saw these absolute ridiculous things go down? Like, give us an insight to like the team.
Oh, I don't know if you guys saw on the stream, but two people on our team were literally watching Rival get interrogated, and we're just letting it happen for the fun. So he was a bit of a human sacrifice there to help us secure the win.
Gotta love the troll stuff. Gotta love trolls. I think you actually kind of broke Mist a little bit.
Yeah, just a little bit. Just that entire game, man. I was cracking up. Okay, we've had a little bit of fun here, obviously, but I do actually want to ask you a genuine question. It's just going forward, you guys are definitely one of the best teams in this league, if not the best by far and away. You're undefeated at this point, and you're going into the playoffs looking like very strong. How do you guys feel your chances of winning this whole thing are? Do you think it's going to be a little bit different of an environment with those best of threes, or do you feel like it's just going to be smooth sailing for you guys and you're not going to drop a map the whole way through?
Well, I mean, we personally think we're better in BO3s than BO1s, and we're finally going to have 5. This entire regular season, we haven't been able to play with our full 5. So, I mean, we kind of have to throw to lose these games, considering we've been winning pretty easily with a sub and in a BO1, which is like not as like challenging which is more challenging than a BO3.
Awesome. Well, you know the deal. Whenever you're in here for an interview, who do you want to shout out, and is there anybody you want to thank?
Shout out Snipey Poo, who's in France right now. He's too busy traveling the world to help us win a game for I think he's been here for 1 game, so he's provided very little help, but hopefully he'll be here more for playoffs. And shout out Nick Moop, our coach. Helps us a lot. Today he wasn't able to be here because he's working. He's a whole adult, but shout out to both of them.
All right, awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We will be back on Thursday. We should be, I believe, 7:30 is when we're going to have the matches and everything ready to go. And on Thursday, we're going to have Valence versus Zero Risk, and then Outlast versus Homeland Academy. It is going to be another intense night of Siege as we are ever closer to the playoffs. I have to thank Mist. Thank you so much for casting with me. Tonight was the first night we actually have gotten to do this. It's great.
Yeah, it was definitely great working with you. I hope we get to do it again sometime.
Awesome. And once again, Cohen, thank you so much for joining us. We will see the rest of you back here on Thursday. Have a good night, guys.
Cause I need you, baby. I need you, baby. If you text me, say you need me. Even if it ain't real, you're just missing me. I'll be on the way, we'll spin and get it free. I'll be here. Spending time on the white sheets. We ain't tired, but act like we need to sleep. Then I think about your body, feel your fantasies. We don't sleep, we can't sleep. Split highs with you. In the bed, in the pool. Moods on too. Tell me what you need, cause I need you, baby. I'll set the cards to red. Temperature 68. A bed made for 2. Say what you need, cause I need you, baby. I can make it like a dream for you. Like a fantasy that just came true. Right now, feeling when you say, ooh. La 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 la. I'm a label you from the left side. Keep you close, calling for the whole night. No, you know, because it feels like, ooh. La 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 la.
Got this mood. I'm so mesmerized. You take me somewhere new. Can you pause the night and postpone the sunrise? Cause every time I feel you
when I think about it. Ooh. I can make it like a dream